An entitled customer freaks out on me after I tell him that our playground is closed at Burger King. But despite the fact that I clearly put up signs that it's closed due to maintenance, as well as the fact that I just got done using chemicals to clean the area, this entitled customer was not going to have it, blatantly saying that he's going to get me fired if I don't do exactly as he says. And I'm honestly still blown away by the way this guy acted, and I really hope I never deal with him ever again. Here's what happened. Okay, to start things off, I work at a Burger King, as it pays slightly better than what I was getting working for my aunt, and I've encountered several Karens before, but this incident was the most recent. Last week, I was doing a deep cleaning of the playground due to a birthday party that had just finished up earlier, and it was my last task to do before clocking out. My boss had asked me to close the playground since I'd be deep cleaning, and she didn't want customers to be in contact with any chemicals that I would be using. While cleaning, I noticed that the AC was out and the playground was extremely hot, to the point where I had difficulty breathing. To add to the issue, I'm also extremely allergic to some of the cleaning products that we use. So I'm basically in an oven with no airflow, and I'm using cleaning chemicals that I can't even touch without my skin cracking. I'm struggling to breathe and I'm cleaning, and while I'm doing all of this, I notice this man and his daughter, who looks like she would be at least 4 years old, watching me clean in the main lobby. Now, I didn't think much of it, mainly because I was more worried about getting out of the playground room as quickly as possible. I clean the inside of the playground's tubes and slides and any place that I would fit. I clean the tables and the windows using both a broom and a mop. Throughout this, I have the door to the playground locked. The man and his daughter are sitting outside the playground, clearly waiting for the door to the playground to be open. Eventually, I get out, taking the cleaning tools with me without locking the playground from the lobby side. I didn't have the keys on me, and you would only be able to lock the playground without a key from inside its room. So I drop off the cleaning products in the back, and I tell my boss about the AC being out and to give me the key to lock the playground from the outside. She hands it to me, and I quickly head back to the playground to lock it, worrying that customers might try to get in, despite the signs I put up clearly saying that the playground was closed. Well, sure enough, the daughter was going inside the playground with the man holding the door open. I quickly get to him and ask him to take his daughter out, as the playground was closed due to issues with the AC and the cleaning chemicals all over the playground. Well, when I said that, he gets angry, and while grabbing his daughter, he yells at me and says,
"I waited so long for you to clean up that mess. Why are you still closing the playground if the store is still open?"
I look at him and I say, "Sir, the reason is due to my boss telling me to close it. The playground was just cleaned and the chemicals can't be aired out because the AC is down." The entitled man then looks at me and says,
"Well, when does it open?"
I responded by saying, "Well, I'm not entirely sure. My boss is calling the repair guy right now, so hopefully it'll be open in the morning." When I told him that, I'm guessing he didn't understand what I said, or he was just too angry to fully listen to me. He then said to me,
"Why is the playground only open in the mornings? What kids are gonna be here in the playground if they'd be in school?"
For reference, the day after was Saturday, so I was confused on what he meant by that comment, but I just shrugged him off. I was already too tired, and I was in the middle of an allergy attack to say anything to the man, but that made him even more angry. He then started saying,
"This is absolutely insane. I waited 15 minutes to get my order, and the cashiers were giving me an attitude, and now you want to close the playground in the middle of the afternoon. I want your boss to fire you."
He then rushes out, pulling his crying daughter behind him, and then he leaves. I thought that was the end of it, and I would finally be able to go home to recover from my allergy attack. But not long after this male Karen left, my boss is on the phone with him. I was grabbing my things from the closet where all the employees put their bags, and I can clearly hear him screaming about how the playground could possibly be closed in the afternoon. My boss is trying to calm him down, and he's saying to him, "Yes, sir, I understand your frustration. However, for the safety of your daughter and our other customers, I asked my employee to close it." The entitled man then says,
"Oh, she gave me an attitude. I waited so long for her to finish cleaning, and now my daughter's crying because she couldn't get in."
My boss responds by saying, "And once again, I do apologize for closing the playground, but there were signs in front saying that the playground was closed for cleaning and the AC is out. Your daughter could have suffered from heat exhaustion." The entitled man then said,
"Okay, but why did the employee tell me that the playground is open only in the mornings? What kids are gonna be there in the morning?"
My boss actually had my back on this one when he said to him, "I did not tell my employee that the playground was only open in the mornings. I will talk with her, but there is probably a chance that maybe there was a misunderstanding. Our repairman is coming in soon to take a look at our AC, so we hopefully should be open by tomorrow. I sincerely apologize for your inconvenience." The entitled man calmed down after that, and after a few more apologies, the call ended. My boss asked me why did I tell the man about the playground being open in the mornings, but when I explained what had happened and what I said, my boss later understood that it was all a misunderstanding. After that, I was free to go home. Now, I haven't seen that male Karen, but I did see the daughter yesterday with an old lady after school let out for the summer, so I'm gonna assume that it was probably her grandma or something like that. She looked pretty happy, even though I feel bad about what happened with her dad. Honestly, I would not feel bad about that at all. It sounds like that guy had a chip on his shoulder and he was upset that his daughter wasn't getting what she wanted. And trust me, I totally get it. They waited outside the playground, they were patient more or less, but clearly reading comprehension skills are not this guy's strong suit. Because I'm willing to bet if he just looked up and looked at the sign probably sitting right in front of him, he would have known right then and there that no, he can't be in this room right now. And I don't know about you, but anytime I've used cleaning chemicals in a room, I either have to open a window or just step out of the room entirely. Like, that is not some stuff I want to breathe in, especially cleaning chemicals. Like, that's a really fast way to get hurt. And like, why on earth would the guy be like, oh yeah, my kid's gonna play in this playground. Let's put her in a small tube with all these cleaning chemicals still in the air. Like, seriously, what a complete idiot. So honestly, I'm really glad the original poster didn't get fired like this entitled male Karen wanted them to get, because this honestly was such a ridiculous reason to get upset. Because you literally were just doing your job, and you did not deserve to get treated like that in the slightest. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for telling my parents that I do not want to take care of my younger siblings while they go away to a funeral in Austria? Because right now, especially at the end of the school year for my university, I feel completely overwhelmed, and I now seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, I'm a 19-year-old female, and I have many younger siblings. My parents have 10 children in total, and I'm the oldest. Most of my life, I've had to take responsibility and help them, and sometimes it got unmanageable. I guess you could say I have an oldest daughter syndrome, but overall, I love my siblings. And for the older ones, they can take care of themselves for the most part. My parents don't normally leave the country, but lately a relative of my dad's died, and they have to go back to Austria soon to attend a funeral and attend to other things like that. Neither me nor my siblings knew them very well, so we are not attending, plus the cost of travel is just way too high. Well, things came to conflict when my parents told me that my closest brother, who's 16 years old, as well as myself, will be taking care of my siblings alone, and we're going to be taking care of all of them. And you know what? We suggested anything. We said to them that maybe they could hire someone, or even bring in a friend of the family or something, but they just turned it down. They are solitary in their decision, and I just don't like the idea. I told my parents that I was in university, and my brother was in high school, and we have large amounts of responsibilities that we need to meet right now, especially with it being the end of the school year. I was quite stern when I told them this, which may have been very rude of me. I was very staunch in the fact that I would not be taking care of them because it would cause an unnecessary strain on me that I was unprepared for. While it's not absolutely impossible, and I know that I will be doing the majority of the work since I am the oldest, while also having my own things like university, by the end of the week when my parents finally come back, I will probably be completely burnt out and exhausted. We have no relatives in this country or any other family members, and we are hesitant to bring friends into the house. So I really just don't know what to say. I feel like I'm overreacting and perhaps being selfish for not wanting to take care of my siblings, especially since it's an emergency and just for a week. So am I the jerk in this scenario? What should I do? I do not think you're the jerk at all, because what they're asking, in my opinion, is completely ridiculous. They seriously want you to watch all 9 of your siblings while also trying to keep up with your work at university? Like, seriously, that just doesn't seem feasible. Especially at the end of the school year. Like, don't you have like finals you have going on like right now? And don't get me wrong, I totally understand that the death in the family was not planned, but like, seriously, give her some kind of support of some kind. Bring in a family friend just to be there just in case, instead of being so stubborn about it and being like, no, it's you and your brother. You two are the only ones to watch the kids, nobody else. Like, I don't know about you, but having somebody on standby just to help out maybe in the evenings with getting kids ready for bed, or even like in the morning or something like that, like, in my opinion, that's completely reasonable, and that's not like an unusual request. So no, in my opinion, I don't think the original poster's the jerk here. I think the parents are not thinking this through, and the fact that they're leaving you with all these kids right at the end of the school year, in my opinion, is completely unfair. I finally left my toxic mother's house after enduring years of awful treatment from her and her boyfriend. Here's what happened. Okay, so I cut off my toxic mother, and this is what she did to me. For some backstory here, my parents had shared custody of me a couple of months ago, and I had just gotten back from visiting my grandparents in my hometown. At that point, both my father and my stepmother sat me down to have a talk talk. They said that social services were becoming more concerned over me and my siblings' well-being at my biological mother's home, especially with her just being charged. So they asked me, since I had already been thinking about leaving, if I wanted to leave at the end of the next week that I would be at her home. I said yes, but it was still a very hard decision for me to make. Not because of my mom, but because of my younger half-siblings that also lived with her. The time I had spent living in her home had created so many awful memories for me. Her boyfriend would be verbally and emotionally awful towards me, as well as blame anything that went wrong on me specifically. In fact, I once asked him why he hated me so much, and he said to me, "Because you look like your father." But the thing is, my father had nothing to do with him. My biological mother and him would also have fights all the time. I would have to try and take my siblings out of the room so that they wouldn't hear it. They have been together since I was 5 years old, and I'm now currently 15 years old, and I believe they are still together. I left that week because I was reaching my breaking point. I hated going there. The week that I planned to leave on, I decided to write her a letter telling her why I had left. To be honest though, I wasn't expecting that great of a response, because in the past when I would try to tell her how I was feeling about anything, she would instead just brush it to the side. She would get mad at me too for saying how I was feeling, and would make anything I say all about her. So with that bit of context out of the way, here's the letter that I left for her. Dear Mother, I have decided to write this letter to you as a type of farewell, at least for now. I'm going to be living at Father's house full-time from now on, and by the time you read this letter, I will have already left your home. I know hearing this will probably upset you, and I'm sorry for doing so, but this is all for the best. I don't really know how to put all my feelings into words for you, and I have always had trouble with that. I just want you to know that the reason I myself am leaving is because I don't think you're a bad person, Mother, but I do think that before I can come and start visiting you again, you need to get help. By how things were going, this decision was not just up to me at this point in time. Also, please don't blame my stepmom and my father too much. They honestly just want what's best for me and my mental health. To be honest, I have many more things I would like to tell you, but I gave up on that idea a while ago. Every time I would try to share my feelings with you, you would never really listen and sometimes even become angry at me. That's why, if you notice, I've become more distant towards you. Furthermore, all the lying, saying hurtful things about me, and the excuses. And I've now just started to not trust you. I really wanted to believe that it would never have to come to this again, but Mother, you were the one that decided it. I hope to be able to see you again once you have gotten the things you need, and when I'm ready as well. I'll always love you and wish the best for you, even if you don't believe so. Farewell, Mother, and hopefully we'll be able to meet again someday. Now, I tried to express all these feelings to her and see if she would maybe understand why I decided to leave, but she just responded to me with all these messages. She said to me, "Amazing. I just do not know how you could give up on a parent. I never could do that, and I had some messed up parents. My mother had a mental illness my entire life, and I would never do to her what you just did to me. My dad is such a jerk, but I still could never do that to him either. I love you, but I will never understand your cruel nature. You never got that from me." Then the next day, she sent me the following. "If you want to stay at your father's place permanently, that is your choice. It sucks for me as I do love you. I have moved for you and everything else, but it just seems I'm never good enough." Furthermore, since my father still had to be in contact with her for certain things, I asked him to ask my mom if they could somehow plan for me to see my siblings, and this is what she said about it. "You will need to come and talk to me before I agree to anything." And after this message, it was just the same BS over and over again, or saying how she didn't trust me to see my siblings. I mean, it's not like I pretty much raised them myself anyways, right? I haven't heard or seen my siblings in 3 months, and it's really affecting me badly. But today, I was told I was going to be able to see them next Friday, and I'm so excited and happy. But the only thing is that there is a catch. My biological mother has to be there. But thankfully, my father and stepmother and a social worker is also going to be there. And I just hope that she somehow doesn't ruin my visit with my siblings. Yeah, it sounds like your biological mom is not a good person, and she was clearly trying to guilt trip you. Here you are trying to leave and find a better life, and she's trying to guilt trip you and be like, "Why could you do this to me?" While conveniently enough, never addressing the things that she let happen to you. Like seriously, it's just classic gaslighting, and I'm so sorry that you dealt with that. So hopefully things go well for you in the future, and you're able to have a better life with your dad and your stepmom. I overheard my fiance and my future mother-in-law bad-mouthing my mom, saying horrible things about her behind our backs, as well as degrading her as a person, despite the fact that she is always very sweet to my fiance and her family. And now, after I approached my fiance about it, she got extremely upset and said that I was in the wrong for overhearing their conversation, while also refusing to acknowledge or even apologize for the hurtful things that she said. And I now feel like I'm at a crossroads and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 28-year-old male and I overheard my 27-year-old fiance, along with my future mother-in-law, bad-mouthing my mom. And as a result, I've been contemplating ending things with my fiance. My fiance's brother is getting married in a few months, and this wedding is happening in the state where my fiance and her family are located, which is very close to where they live. So me and my family would be flying out for the wedding, which is a minimum of a 5-hour flight. This wedding is a multi-day event with a different theme for clothing each day. This would mean that my parents and I will have to check in one bag to ensure that we can take all of our clothing. My family and I have had really bad experiences with airlines in the past where we have lost our carry-on luggage. I already discussed this beforehand with my fiance and asked if it would be okay for my family to leave a check-in size suitcase of clothing for the wedding a month or so beforehand, to which she said she agreed. Now, a couple of days ago, my mom chatted with my future mother-in-law. Then, yesterday, I overheard my fiance and her mother chatting over the phone. She was talking loudly in another room where I could mostly make out everything they were saying. And just so we're on the same page, I completely understand the severity of my actions when it comes to listening to their private conversation. However, I heard them bad-mouthing my family for wanting to leave a suitcase of clothing, and how it's just another thing that they have to take care of now, and how my family doesn't see it that way. They were venting alternatives for us getting our clothes to their wedding, which was basically them saying that we needed to check in a bag, which I clearly articulated we had a bad experience with in the past. I also overheard my fiance saying how she can't believe her mom was able to get through a conversation with my mom. Additionally, my fiance said how her mom only had to deal with this for a couple of hours, but my fiance will have to deal with this for the rest of her life. How my mom is weak and she just can't deal with weak people. I even overheard my future mother-in-law asking my fiance if I'm anything like my mom in these ways, to which my fiance did defend me. Nevertheless, hearing them talk poorly about my mom, who has been nothing but sweet to them, was absolutely heartbreaking. I was mortified by their conversation and I felt blindsided. I never expected my future mother-in-law to say these things about my mother, but even more so, I didn't expect my own fiance to be saying these things. I feel like my fiance and my future mother-in-law crossed a line here, which I don't know can be repaired. I feel as though they not only disrespected my mother, but also me and my family. And I feel as though they don't accept all parts of me and my family. I love my mother to bits, and she has been nothing but sweet and kind towards my fiance along with her family. So I don't know how these negative feelings towards my mom festered on their end. I don't know if I'm overreacting here. When I brought up the things I heard from my fiance, she got extremely upset at me for overhearing and violating her private space, which is completely understandable. She refused to acknowledge or apologize about any of the hurtful things that were said, which I can also partly understand as it was my fault for overhearing. I just don't know what to do anymore. I feel like I may be the one overreacting now, and I'm just not sure how to get over it. What should I do? This is so inappropriate, it's not even funny, because it sounds like your fiance is spinning this towards you, all because you overheard their conversation. And sure, maybe that's a violation of privacy, but seriously, why can she not apologize for saying those awful things about your mom? She's not only refusing to apologize for it, but she's also refusing to acknowledge it. Like, that, in my opinion, is the real problem here, and not the fact that you overheard them talking crap about your mom. If that was my mom they were talking about, I would have a lot to say to them, because there's no way I would ever talk about her mom like that. Like, they literally tried to turn this around and make you the bad guy, and that is insane to me. You are not the bad guy here, and if I was in your shoes, there's no way I would let that happen, because what they said about your mother completely overrides anything that you might have done when it comes to like overhearing and eavesdropping, and I believe that you absolutely are owed an apology as well as an explanation for the things that she said. Am I the jerk for not inviting my birth family to my wedding, even when my sister offered to pay for them to be there? Because right now this is all getting very frustrating, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I was placed for adoption at birth. My older biological sister was placed when she was 5 months old, and together we are about 3 years apart in age, and we were adopted by the same parents and raised in the same family. I also have other siblings I grew up with who have no biological connection to me. My sister tried to rope me into a birth family search, but I told her I didn't want to find them and offered her my support from the outside, but that's as much as I was willing to give. Well, she found them 5 years ago and has been in regular contact with them ever since. Our family supported this, and my parents have met my birth parents in an effort to support my sister, but I still choose not to meet them or have them in my life. My sisters have passed letters to me from them and has been trying for years to get me to agree to meet with them and build some kind of relationship relationship. They keep saying how much it hurts them that I want nothing to do with them. She passes this on to me and tells me how much it hurts her that I won't be a part of this with her because our connection as blood-related siblings is huge, and now we have more blood-related family. I told her there's no part of me that wants to meet them, and there's nothing that I want from them. She told me that she knows I have to want answers, and I said no. I already know the answers. They were young when they had us, and they didn't want to be parents at the time. She asked how I knew that, and I told her that I did listen to her after she met them for the first time. It has honestly been so messy. I get letters from them about once a month, and I try giving them back, but to no avail, so I dispose of them and have never read them. I'm not interested, and I just can't be more clear than that. Fast forward, and I'm now getting married, and my sister fought for them to be invited. She offered to pay for them to come and told me that she would cover all the costs associated with their place on the guest list, and I still said no. She called me crying after she had been at their house because they were so upset to be missing it. She said to me, "Our biological dad wants to walk you down the aisle," and I told her that's not going to happen, and that them being upset wasn't a strong motivator for me. I also warned her that the place we're getting married at has security, and we are already adding them to our package, and I can easily pass on information about our birth family just to keep them out if she really wants to try sneaking them in. My sister said that I'm being unreasonable. My parents assured me they support me either way, but want me to know I don't need to take my stance for their sakes, and that they would be fine with them coming along as well. Well, my sister said if mom and dad don't care, then I should want my whole family at my wedding, and I told her they will be there, since I don't consider our birth family my real family. Her reaction was even stronger when the invites were sent out, and our birth family didn't get any. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? Because right now this is so frustrating and I just don't know what to do. No, I don't think you're the jerk at all, because your biological family absolutely abandoned you at birth. I totally get that they put you up for adoption because they weren't ready to have kids, but at the end of the day, that doesn't mean you have any obligation towards these people. Like, you've made your stance very clear. You've said straight up that you don't want them in your life and you don't want anything to do with them. And in my opinion, that is all the reasoning your sister should ever get, because the way she's acting is really obnoxious, and I don't blame you for cutting them out in the slightest. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.